We come on the air with breaking news about a tragic plane crash in Brazil. We have dramatic video showing the plane spiraling out of the sky. Everyone on board feared dead. The latest information is coming into us literally minute by minute about what happened. Plus, a tale of two campaigns coming into focus tonight. Former President Donald Trump's wild story claiming he almost died during a helicopter ride is being debunked. Meanwhile, we also expect to see Vice President Harris speak any minute now in a critical swing state. And we're just getting new video of the ex-deputy charged with Sonia Massie's murder, why he thinks he'll get out of jail soon. Then, a new solution for a potentially deadly allergic reactions. What you need to know about a groundbreaking new treatment that the FDA just approved. Plus, the story of a Nebraska family going through tragedy after tragedy until a, quote, direct donation saved one of their lives. That's later in the show. Good evening, I'm Yamiche Alcindor in for Hallie tonight. And right now we're following breaking news out of Brazil, where a plane seemingly spiraled out of the sky, crashing into the ground. The airline just minutes ago confirming everyone on board, more than 60 passengers are dead. We're about to show you the video, but we warn you, it's graphic. Here you can see the plane spiraling in the air, seemingly falling hundreds of feet every second, just spiraling out of control towards the ground. And the story is still developing, new information coming in by the second. But here's what we know right now. The plane was heading to Vindaloo in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Today, in an event, Brazil's president asked the crowd to stand for a moment of silence. You're looking at the flight path here. You can see the moment where the plane crashed and disappeared on radar. This is an up-close view of the crash site here. You're looking at all the smoke and rubble that rescuers are going to have to dig through. There are still way more questions than answers at this moment. I want to give you right to Dana's girlfriend right now at NBC News. So Dana, what more do we know about the crash?
Yamiche, so according to flight data, this flight descended some 14,000 feet within the last 2 minutes of that flight. And it's heartbreaking to see some of the images. Some of the images we're still trying to confirm here at NBC News, but it appears to show that plane somewhat stall midair and it starts to spiral. And former NTSB investigator Jeff Gazzetti actually said that this airplane aerodynamically stalled, which means there was not enough airflow over the wings to generate lift. And when that happens, these planes stop. You can see it. It looks pretty flat and then starts to spin as it barrels to the ground. You see video there. Several people in this neighborhood where this plane went down next to homes. There's actually a pool not far from where this happened. They rushed out of their homes and listened to what one of the witnesses had to say.
When I heard the sound of the plane falling, I looked out my window at home and saw the moment it crashed. The way it fell, I ran out of the house and went to see where it had fallen, and saw it had fallen into the house of a couple of elderly people. We also knew them from church, and so, terrified and not knowing what to do, I jumped over the wall.
Absolutely terrifying for a lot of people there. I want to show you the map, just showing where this flight path, showing you the flight path. So this flight took off from Cascavel in the state of Parana, southwest of Sao Paulo. It was supposed to land near the airport, wasn't too far away, and then that's when this happened. And when we think about what caused this crash, still no word yet, but experts say that this could be pilot error, mechanical error, also possibly weather-related. Yamiche?
And I know you talked and saw that man talking about what he witnessed, but what more do we know about the reaction of the people on the ground?
Yeah, it's terrifying because we've heard from the president of Brazil who spoke at an event asking for a moment of silence that it's believed that all 62 people on that plane have died. There was actually one man who arrived to the airport late, and one of the airline workers said he could not get on that flight. And he argued with that person at first, but now he has changed his tone. Listen to the emotional interview he gave today.
I even argued with him, and he ended up saving my life. I saw that you hugged him. I hugged him because he did his job. If he had not done his job, maybe I would not be here giving this interview.
And obviously several families are still waiting word on what is the status of their loved ones. We've heard from the airline Vopas. They say that they are working to try to get to the bottom of this. Also, the manufacturer of that plane, ATR, they put out a statement saying that their thoughts are with the individuals affected by this event and that their specialists are fully engaged to support both the investigation and the customer. Yamiche.
Just heartbreaking to think of all those families that are waiting for answers. I know you're going to stay on top of it, so thank you so much, Dana.
Yes, thank you.
The governor of New York just declared a state of emergency for the whole state as nearly the entire eastern seaboard is under flood watch, affecting more than 30 million people. It's all because of tropical depression Debbie. 8 people are dead and millions already in its path grappling with the fallout from devastating flooding and tornadoes. Take a look at this. In Pennsylvania, the back of a building blown clean off. Huge trees ripped from the ground. We're told helicopters are rescuing folks trapped on the roofs of their homes in the middle of catastrophic flooding. Houses are even getting washed downstream. Northern Virginia even seeing a tornado touchdown right near the FBI's Quantico campus. NBC's George Shalise is on the ground in Pennsylvania. So, George, thank you for being there. Hopefully you're staying safe. We've been talking about Debbie, of course, all week, and it's still bringing devastating effects to places like all the places that we just talked about and, of course, where you are. So did people there expect this to be this bad?
Hey, Yamiche, it's slow, powerful, and relentless. The best way to describe Debbie. Here in Harrisburg, an apparent tornado apparently touching down. And you mentioned in the intro there the video of that business, this elevator company, whose backside was completely just blown out by this fierce winds here. It's just really incredible to look at. Right here in front of me, there's actually a picnic table. It's solid concrete, weighs about 500 pounds. It was just flipped over and tossed around like a toy. There's a little trailer here that was also flipped around a number of times, according to the owners here. And this is just one of 2 buildings that we saw some apparent tornado damage. There was a church about 2 miles from here whose roof was completely just ripped right off, and that roof landing somewhere on the street. Luckily, no one has been hurt. These apparent tornadoes striking overnight. What we saw earlier this morning was a lot of what the South region saw, which was just a lot of wind and a lot of rain. And we know a lot of those rains have the capacity to overwhelm a lot of those drainage systems in cities. Not the case here. The Susquehanna River not in any danger of flooding. We did see some intermittent rain. You can see that it's a little bit sunnier out right now. We have seen some showers here that are intermittent as this storm moves up into the northeast and to northern New England. But again, back to the church. Again, one of the craziest things I've seen so far in terms of the storm damage. Again, that roof ripped clean right off. We spoke with the pastor. Here's what he told me.
We haven't gotten official word. Our belief is that sometime between 4 and 5 a.m. There's a tornado that touched down, and it seems to be that it landed on the church and kind of ripped the roof in half and kind of sent damage across the street even.
Yeah, Yamiche, and unfortunately, Debbie has been deadly, responsible for at least 8 lives. But again, here in this region, no injuries to report.
Yeah. I mean, you see that water moving so fast and realize that things can shift so quickly. So while people are trying to sort of still wrap their head around what happened, what do cleanup efforts even look like?
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's just starting right now. They're starting to assess some of the damage right down in the south where the waters are slowly starting to recede. There's tornado damage there. A lot of people just getting their ducks in a row. Just 3 hours from here, upstate New York, looking at some significant flooding, which is why a state of emergency has been declared. So a lot of people still waiting to see what the worst of this storm does, but a lot of people overall just ready to put this one in the rearview mirror. Yamiche?
Yeah, people definitely wanting to move past this, but also having a lot of work to do. So thank you so much, George, for all that reporting. And now to politics out west. We're expecting to hear from Vice President Harris tonight at a campaign event outside of Phoenix. It's part of her whirlwind tour this week of several battleground states alongside her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Tomorrow they'll be in Vegas. Still, some big questions hang over the campaign, like will the vice president commit to all 3 debates former President Donald Trump has challenged her to? This all happens ahead of what will be a big moment next week. President Biden is expected to hit the trail with Vice President Harris for the first time since he stepped aside, dropped out, of course, from the Democratic ticket a few weeks ago. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist is on the campaign trail in Glendale, Arizona. So, Aaron, Aaron, I know that it's a lot of people there. So the Harris campaign is out with a new ad, and it's focused on her border security work in a state like Arizona, where we know it's going to be an important issue, immigration. Talk to us about her messaging tonight in that state.
Yeah, it's interesting, Yamiche, that we have this trip to the Southwest, and immediately the campaign seems to be diving into this issue of border security and immigration, which is not something that really Democrats have been able to campaign on and win on, outside of saying that former President Trump tanked that bipartisan border security bill earlier this year. But in this ad that you referenced, we do hear the vice president talk about her record as a prosecutor, talking about going after the drug cartels and getting gang members put behind bars while she was a prosecutor, and then going so far as to lay out what she would like to do as president, that she would crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking, and that she would put more border agents on the border. This is a topic that will resonate here in the Southwest, but also it's important to note that there are people here, like everywhere else in the country, who have said that their number one issue really is the economy. At the same time, the campaign says they're seeing some energy for this new ticket, the Harris-Walz ticket. There's some polling out recently that looked at this change in the race, comparing Vice President Harris to former President Trump in this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll. And you see that it's showing her with a 49% to 47% edge here. It's within the margin of error, but indicates that there is some hope in the way that the polls have been changing here in Arizona. Again, still, the economy is the number one issue. And we've talked to independent voters who will be key in this state to winning, whoever wins. We've talked to some of them who said that they want to hear what's going to be done to keep money in their pockets, to put more money in their pockets and make life a little easier for them. I want you to hear from some of these independent voters.
I want to be able to afford a living, simple things, food, water, you know, a stable housing, things of that sort.
For me, like I said, who's going to put money back into my pocket as far as to make it more affordable? Not necessarily lowering me prices, but maybe wages be, you know, higher.
And so, Yamiche, this is something we've heard the ticket talk about, trying to figure out how to lower costs for average American working class families. It's something I expect we will hear tonight with the crowd here, but we'll be looking to see if there's more detail about what a President Harris would do. Yamiche?
Yeah, and money in my pocket is really, I think, summing up what a lot of voters are thinking about this election cycle. But I want to ask you also, Vice President Harris is making a campaign stop in the state where she passed over prominent Arizona Democrat Senator Mark Kelly. A lot of people at the beginning of this were really looking at him, thinking he's from a border state, he's an astronaut, he's a gun rights advocate. Of course, she passed him over in favor of Tim Walz, her new running mate. So could that make a big difference here?
Well, you know, that has yet to be seen, right? We know that Senator Mark Kelly will be here tonight. We expect to hear from him on the stage behind me, and we expect to hear him articulate his full-throated support for the Harris-Walz ticket. We know that Governor Walz has campaigned in this state as well, outside of or independent of Vice President Harris. And so I think you're going to see really an effort to show unity among all the Democrats here, the same way we saw in Philadelphia with Governor Shapiro speaking at length there and really showing support for this new ticket and for what they want to get done. I think you'll likely hear that tonight. We also know that there will be Republican office holders in this state on the stage as well, showing their support for the Harris-Walz ticket in November. Yamiche?
Well, Aaron, you wrote the segue to the Republicans, so thanks so much for all that reporting. And of course, on Republicans, former President Trump is also out west. He's expected to hold a rally a little later tonight in Montana. Republicans there are trying to win a Senate seat currently held by incumbent Senator Jon Tester. In his news conference yesterday, former President Donald Trump said he was going to Montana to help a Republican candidate and get that seat. It's Tim Sheehy. And while that's supposed to be tonight's focus, something else is getting a lot of attention. It's when former President Donald Trump seemed to mix up former California Governor Jerry Brown with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. It happened during yesterday's press briefing at Mar-a-Lago. The former president said he was in a helicopter with Willie Brown that nearly crashed, but both men say that just never happened. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard is joining me now from Bozeman, Montana, where the former president will be tonight. So, Vaughn, what's the Trump team saying about this mix-up?
They're not doubling down, per se. I want to let you look, though, from the campaign press secretary, a statement in which they write in part, quote, "I would just refer you to President Trump's statement and what he said yesterday. The president has a lot of amazing stories from his life. As we all know, he was a businessman and a celebrity for decades prior to entering politics." Of course, this is part of the criticism that those who are opposed to Donald Trump have given about him, is that he is older, and there are moments here in which he is... Apologies, we're getting hit by umbrellas here on live TV, Yamish. This is a moment here where we're 85 days out, Yamish, and there's a lot that's coming our way, it seems like, at every moment, including the name Willie Brown, who, the reason why Willie Brown matters is pertinent to this conversation, if I may, Yamish, is because about 3 decades ago, he briefly dated Kamala Harris when she was living in San Francisco, and he was the mayor of San Francisco, and there are some on the right who have tried to create this as an issue for Kamala Harris. But as we have now clearly, from our own team's reporting, I know Gabe Gutierrez, our colleague, had his own conversation with Willie Brown, who said that he's never flown on a helicopter with Donald Trump, and he never had a conversation with him about Kamala Harris. Yamish?
Well, first of all, thanks for braving the umbrellas for us, because we got to weather at the beginning of this, and here you are doing the thing here. But I want to ask you about the Senate seat there, of course. This is not seen really as a competitive seat, except for when it comes to maybe the Senate seat. That being said, what does Donald Trump really get from being in Montana apart from that Senate seat?
That Senate seat could be huge, Yamish, and right for Washington, if you are in control of the White House, it becomes very apparent very quickly that having majorities in the House and Senate are key to pushing through your agenda. And for Donald Trump, he is cognizant of that. And right now, Democrats have the control in the U.S. Senate. Now, they only need to flip 1 or 2 Senate seats. If they do, in fact, win the White House, J.D. Vance would be the president of the Senate. And in those moments where it is a 50-50 split, Democrats or Republicans, he could be the tie-breaking vote. So they really would need just one pickup. And it's likely that in West Virginia they'll do that, where Joe Manchin's retiring. They think the Republican current governor who's running for the seat will pick that up. So in the scenario that they would need a second seat, Montana could be that place, because, of course, Donald Trump expects to win handily here himself. But just 4 years ago, in another Senate race, the Republican beat the Democrat here by 10 percentage points. So they hope to pick off and beat the Democratic incumbent Senator John Tester here, with Republican Tim Sheehy running this go-around, Yamish.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Vaughn, and stay safe and stay away from those umbrellas.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it.
And we have breaking news out of Illinois right now. We've just learned that the sheriff deputy has resigned. This comes as we're taking our first look at newly released video from inside the jail, where the deputy he hired, Sean Grayson, was booked on murder charges for killing Sonia Massie. So again, breaking news that the sheriff there has resigned. But remember, Grayson was fired and charged with murder after he shot and killed Massie while responding to her 911 call in July, seen here in police body cam footage. The newly released video shows Grayson interacting with Menard County deputies, being escorted into a holding cell, then later posing for his booking photos. Grayson can also be heard discussing the charges against him and saying he thinks he'll get out soon. Take a listen.
I can't imagine that they're not going to release me. They're saying my charges are first-degree murder, aggravated with a weapon, and official misconduct. That's what the state's attorney made the charges. So they said this is for my own safety. Hopefully I'll be out tomorrow.
Grayson has pleaded not guilty to the charges. It comes as he is set to appear virtually for a court appearance about right now. So NBC's Maura Barrett is outside the courthouse in Springfield. So Maura, I want to talk about this video, but first let's talk about the sheriff now announcing that he's resigning. Of course, this is someone, again, who hired this officer who killed Sonia Massie.
Hey, Amish, I was actually in the courtroom as the hearing just wrapped when we got the letter from the sheriff. The sheriff is the person who hired Deputy Sean Grayson and has admitted that there were flaws in his hiring process, but until now had resisted calls to resign. He just posted a letter saying that he is retiring at the end of the month, and he is even somewhat resistant in the letter that he wrote and he posted. I want to read some of it. He said, despite the efforts that he was working on in the community, some want me to pay the price for for the person's actions, referring to Deputy Sean Grayson, threatening that I pay the price with my life, my family's lives, or the lives of my deputies. He had previously said that the calls for him to resign were a political play, and so the fact that he's choosing to retire now and is saying as much in his statement is really telling. But as for that video that was obtained from the jail, that's the night that Grayson was booked, and it's really telling and kind of matches up with the personnel records that we've been digging into over the last couple of weeks as I've been following this story. He had been accused of misconduct in the past, and you kind of see him try to play into that with the deputy saying, hey, we'll take care of you while you're here. He talks about getting out the next day, and so it really kind of speaks to his overall demeanor about the severity of the situation, Yamiche.
Yeah, and that's big news that sheriff is resigning, because I know I talked to Sonia Massie's father just last week, and he was really distraught at the idea that this was an officer who had moved, who had had a lot of complaints. So big news there. But I also want to ask you about the details of this booking video. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, so this again is something that that came out from a FOIA request, and Grayson is talking about how he was going to be released the following day. That in fact did not happen. He was hopeful that this new law in Illinois that eliminates cash bail and allows for pretrial release was going to play into his favor. He in fact has been held since mid-July. We actually just got out of a hearing where his lawyers were arguing he should get that pretrial release. They were trying for it again, and the judge just denied that. So Grayson will remain held, and his lawyers have the opportunity to appeal that decision, but that'll come in the next couple of weeks. His next hearing isn't until the end of August, and so as we understand it, Grayson will remain in custody at least until then, Yamiche.
Yeah, well, definitely a story we will keep on following very closely. Thank you so much, Mara Barrett. And now abroad, today, Israel's military launched another offensive in southern Gaza with an attack involving ground troops, fighter jets, helicopter gunships, and paratroopers. That came after Israel ordered thousands of Palestinians to evacuate the southern city. Take a listen.
The IDF informed us we had an hour or two to leave the entire zone. They didn't even give us a chance to carry our clothes or belongings. We just carried some small stuff and left the rest.
This all comes as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will send negotiators to what President Biden and leaders of Qatar and Egypt say will be the presentation of a final ceasefire proposal next week. The three leaders saying in a statement, quote, "There is no further time to waste nor excuses from any party for further delay." Allison Barber is now joining us from Tel Aviv. So, Allison, for months, these three countries, including the U.S., have been trying their best to mediate a deal to end the fighting and bring the hostages home, and to, of course, also end the civilian casualties in Gaza. So what's different this time, and what more do we know about this meeting?
You know, Yamiche, the truth is we're not entirely sure what is different other than you have the three key mediators putting out this joint statement together, essentially saying, hey, guys, we had an agreement, a key framework. President Biden outlined it in a speech on May 31st at the White House. It's something that had been signed off by the UN Security Council. And they're basically saying, let's get this done. Come back. Let's meet. There's some final implementation things we feel like need to be sorted out. But let's do this and do this now. And then they go on to say, as mediators, if necessary, we're prepared to present a final bridging proposal that resolves the remaining issues in a manner that meets the expectations of all parties, which to experts that we've spoken to, they basically say that sounds like they're saying, hey, if you don't reach agreement, we're going to put something on the table and basically tell you take it or leave it. But exactly what would happen if they said, OK, we're going to leave it, is not entirely clear. There's sort of a mixed reaction that we've been getting when we talk to both Israeli officials and experts who have experience negotiating with Hamas in the past, and also Palestinian analysts who have expertise in this area. So I want to tell you, Yamiche, one thing that a Palestinian analyst at Al-Shabaka, which is a think tank in the West Bank, told me when I asked him if this feels different and if ceasefire talks could maybe continue under Yahya Sinwar. He had said in part, we have been hearing similar things since basically all of this began back in October. And he said there is, quote, no real evidence the United States is terribly serious about ceasefire talks beyond statements. An Israeli former negotiator we spoke to, he was optimistic about this, saying that from his perspective, he felt like this was the only way to tell Netanyahu and also Hamas, we've got to move forward on this and kind of force their hand. But going back to what that analyst from Al-Shabaka told me, his name is Fatih Nimer, he made this point that if the United States, in his view, was serious about trying to get Israel in particular to agree to a ceasefire, that they would use more of their leverage when it comes to military assistance here. That framework, May 31st, one of the things in it said that there would be a full and complete ceasefire. But after that agreement, in the months after, and not that long ago, Netanyahu and his office released 4 non-negotiable points for ceasefire talks, and one of them was that they would be allowed to continue fighting and work towards their war aims after a hostage prisoner swap was achieved when they wanted to come back to it. So basically, like he was saying, temporary truce, that's what I'll agree to. And Hamas and the United States and the UN Security Council's framework that they all agreed to in May is saying it has to be a permanent ceasefire. So whether or not that's been resolved is unclear. Netanyahu says he will send negotiators to this meeting on August 15th. So far, Yamiche, we have not heard from Hamas.
Well, so many moving parts and so many starts and stops. So, Alice and Barbara, thank you so much for staying on top of all of that for us. And breaking news, markets tonight. First it was down, then it was up. Now it looks like Wall Street has made almost a full comeback from where things were earlier this week. Here's how the markets closed tonight. Everything's in the green. The S&P 500 was close to reversing its weekly fall. We've been following this roller coaster ride from the beginning last week. The July jobs report showed significantly slower hiring rate than expected. Then Monday, there was a global market sell-off, with the Dow and S&P 500 having their worst day since 2022. And yesterday, the S&P had its best day since that year. Caleb Silver is the editor-in-chief of Investopedia. He's now joining me. So, Caleb, this market is essentially backtracking and saying, oops, maybe we have overreacted. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, so much noise this week, and here we are basically where we started, and we thought it was going to be a lot worse. You mentioned all the things that precipitated this, a softer than expected jobs report, the drumbeat growing around a potential recession, but don't forget also the Bank of Japan did raise interest rates, which affected those investors that were borrowing yen and buying stocks. So plenty of reasons for the sell-off and a lot of volatility, but it's a good lesson for long-term investors that you don't sell out at the first sign of everything going into the red. So I think that investors have come back a little bit, trying to get some sense of what the rest of the year looks like in terms of interest rates. We have a big inflation report next week, a big data point for the Fed to look at before it meets in September.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. But everyone has been talking about a recession in these past few days. Voters, analysts, of course, Wall Street bankers. But also it's something that economists have been bringing up for years. And here we are, nothing. What's the deal?
Yeah, well, we're going to get a recession at some point because it happens every few years or so. It's been a while, obviously, since the beginning of the pandemic, but we should expect that. The economy is going to slow. We've seen unemployment rising a little bit, but the overall headline numbers look pretty good. There may be rolling recessions in different parts of the economy. Certainly lower income people have felt the sting of inflation. They feel like they've been in a recession the whole time. But a classic recession doesn't look that likely, although you're going to hear a lot more noise about it as we get closer to the election and through the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, we'll keep watching and see what happens. Thank you so much, Caleb. And coming up, Ukraine turns the table on Russia, sending 1,000 soldiers across the border. And civilians in Gaza under the constant threat of danger. We take you inside one family's daily struggle to survive. Rapper Travis Scott in legal hot water again, but first, today, some major medical news. The FDA just approved a nasal spray as the first needle-free emergency treatment against life-threatening allergic reactions. The spray will be sold under the brand name Neffy. It's an alternative to the EpiPen and injections that are used to save people from extreme allergic reactions. Dr. Van Gupta joins me now with more on this. Now, I should tell you, I am allergic to peanuts, so I am super into this news. So how can one safely use this drug, and in what scenarios could this really be possibly a lifesaver?
Well, Yamiche, good evening. It's exactly what you just mentioned. 33 million adult Americans have a food allergy like yourself, and about 5% of all adult Americans are prone to severe anaphylaxis, severe allergies, where historically you would need an injection for epinephrine and inject it into your thigh. It's basically a life-saving intervention. Here, to your question, now we have an inhaled nasal spray that gives epinephrine through the nose, not through an injection. It's a big deal. And so it's meant for adults in children that are at least 66 pounds or older and with a history of anaphylaxis. It's via prescription from your physician, but this is a big deal. Single administration through one single nostril. So no longer, especially those who have needle phobias, do they have to worry about needles.
And as you talk about sort of not having to worry about needles, I wonder about cost. Do we have any idea? Because we know there was that EpiPen sort of controversy where a lot of people said, well, I can't afford this. What do we think? How accessible do we think this is going to be to the average person?
You know, luckily, this is going to be something that's going to be insurance covered, just given the severity of illness that it's going to protect against. So this will be insurance covered, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time, to your point, Yamiche. But certainly for those that meet the indication, will be insurance covered.
Yeah, well, definitely big news. I'm going to watch out to see when it hits the stores. So thank you so much, Dr. Van Gupta.
Thank you.
Now tonight, let's get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know. Number 1, Ukraine's surprise attack on Russia now in its 4th day, and its excursion leaving behind a convoy of burnt-out Russian tanks. The Kremlin even had to bomb its own territory to try to put out Ukraine's advance. Number 2, Austria's interior minister telling reporters today that a 3rd person was arrested overnight in relation to the planned attack on Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna. He's an 18-year-old Iraqi citizen who was apparently in contact with the main suspect in this case. He was not directly linked to the plot. Number 3, today a man prosecutors call one of the most violent January 6 rioters was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. David Dempsey assaulted officers and stood in front of a gallows. He also called for politicians to be hanged. It's one of the longest sentences handed out in the January 6 attacks. Number 4, NASA's Inspector General giving a damning assessment of Boeing's quality control. In a new report, Boeing is building part of NASA's next generation mega rocket. It's part of a push to go back to the moon. According to this report, Boeing's quality control systems do not meet NASA's requirements. This is one of many ongoing issues for Boeing. Remember, its first crewed Starliner mission is still waiting to come back from space. Number 5, French authorities say rapper Travis Scott's been arrested in Paris. He allegedly got into a fight involving a security guard and his own bodyguard. A representative for Scott says the rapper had been chased and harassed by paparazzi for days without support. The representative also said Scott was arrested for fighting his own security personnel, and they're working with French police to resolve this issue. Now to tonight's original. It's our story on in-depth reporting on a topic that we've been watching. As we reported earlier in the show, the Israeli military ordered thousands of Palestinians to leave a southern Gaza city in advance of a military attack. People carried bedding and bags and walked through piles and piles of rubble. These evacuations are just another displacement that have become part of the life for hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza, contributing to the broader humanitarian crisis. We spoke to one family about their daily struggle to survive. Josh Letterman has the story.
Daybreak in Gaza, the Deeb family getting ready for another day, unsure whether they'll survive it. Displaced 5 times since the war started, home is now a dirty alcove underneath a stairwell in an abandoned UN school. Mom, dad, and 6 kids all crammed into a space less than 13 by 7 feet. No running water, but they make do. Hiba is 36, the matriarch. She says her husband Raed was shot by Israeli troops back in 2012. But life, she says, was good before war broke out on October 7th, the day Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people. Yes, they relied on a food kitchen for basic needs, a can of beans or bread with salt. But she says there was calm, stability, a safe roof over their heads.
فرقت حياتنا من قبل عن الحين 180 درجة. احنا بنقول لو يرموا علينا نوم ونموتونا وريحونا.
3 days earlier, an Israeli strike hit the school the Deebs call home. Hiba didn't know if her kids survived. She was out selling bread she cooks in this portable oven to sell to anyone who still has money to buy it. It's the only way she can support her family now. This is life in Gaza after nearly 10 months of war and a humanitarian crisis spinning out of control. 9 out of 10 Gazans have been displaced, 500,000 facing catastrophic food insecurity, the UN says. The basics most take for granted: electricity, clean water, soap. all but gone in Gaza. And now, horrific sanitation fueling a polio outbreak, Gazan authorities say, just one of many infectious diseases spreading uncontrolled. And no way out. The Deeb family is holed up at Khan Yunis, the epicenter of Israel's latest assault on Gaza, where the IDF says they killed the mastermind behind October 7th. With his father paralyzed from the pelvis down, 14-year-old Hallie forced to step up as man of the house. Before the war, Khalil's job was to wake up his siblings for school. He dreamed of becoming a merchant like his uncle. There is no school now. Khalil spends his days searching for food for his family, collecting water if he can. Often it's dirty and salty. His brothers and sisters have dreams too. 6-year-old Ahmed hopes to become a police officer. 3-year-old Saeed, a doctor. Dreams now deferred, and their survival uncertain.
Josh Letterman is joining us now. And Josh, I mean, that was such powerful storytelling. I mean, the images of the babies, the polio outbreak, that teenager Halil stepping up to take care of his family. I mean, we now have what's being called this final ceasefire negotiation, but between all of the trauma that you just documented so wellly and so intimately, I wonder sort of what do you think about the long-term effects here?
Well, yeah, even if the war were to end tomorrow, Yamiche, and the border crossings were to swing open like floodgates, which seems highly unlikely, it could take up to 80 years to rebuild Gaza just to the impoverished place that it was right before the war. That is according to a UN report that found that it will be the biggest reconstruction effort since 1945, since the end of World War II, because not only are some 70% of the houses destroyed, but they have lost a year of school for kids. People have lost a year of ability to have medical care. And so all told, the UN says this has set back human development in Gaza by 4 decades, Yamiche.
80 years. I mean, that you think about those babies, they might be senior citizens before things are rebuilt. That's just so hard to think about. But thank you so much, Josh, for that reporting. And later in the show, danger in paradise. The explosive device is found on the island of Maui. That's the local. And in the Olympics, more stunning finishes and breakdancing's big debut. We're live from Paris. In Paris, the B-girl from Japan taking home the gold medal in breakdancing, a first at the Olympic Games. The American women failed to make the podium with Sunny Choi knocked out in the round-robin stage. But Team USA women did succeed in the 4x100 meter relay. Take a look at this incredible photo of Sha'Carri Richardson stealing a quick glance back at the competition as she clinches gold in the pouring rain. And USA women's basketball also moving on to the finals this weekend after dominating against Australia today, 85-64. They'll play France, just like the men will in their final. NBC's Stephanie Goss now joins me from Paris. So Stephanie, a little jealous of your excitement, so I'm happy to see that you're here. But tell us about the breakdancing's big Olympic debut. Sad that it's not the USA getting gold, but still, of course, it's cool to see this debut.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And we were out there today, and there was a ton of energy, Yamiche. Lots of people excited to see this new event. You know, the Olympics is so much about tradition and history, but you also have organizers trying to get new fans, trying to engage a younger generation, and that's certainly what having breaking in the Olympics is all about. Some interesting things to note, there's a 9-panel judge. It's a 1v1 situation where they throw down for a minute, and the dancers don't know what the music is going to be, and then they are judged on 5 different categories, including things like musicality and technique and originality. So it's really interesting to see it all play out. It will not be in LA, however, but it will be in Brisbane.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to be really, really cool. And also cool to just see all of that dancing, and those pictures were just so amazing. So the closing ceremony is on Sunday. Kind of hard to believe that this is all about to close, but what can we expect?
I know. You know, well, the first thing is that it's not going to be on the Seine. like the opening ceremony. It's actually going to be in the Stade de France, which is the national stadium here. We don't know too much about the artistic presentation. We are told that the executive director listened to some of the criticisms of the opening ceremony, and it says that they're going to be very sensitive to what is displayed in the closing ceremony. You are going to see the actual flag bearers this time walking, and of course that's Katie Ledecky and Nick Mead, the rower who won the gold medal in that men's 4 rowing race, the first time the men have gotten a medal in that race since 1960.
Wow, well, it's going to be really, really cool to watch. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for all your reporting. Now, NBC covers hundreds of stories each day, and because it's tough to read, watch, or listen to them all, our bureau teams have done it for you. This is what they tell us is going down in their regions in a segment we call The Local. From our Northeast Bureau, a 3-day wait period for gun purchases and other gun laws going into effect in Maine today. It comes after the state's deadliest mass shooting in Lewiston last year. Gun safety advocates think a wait period could prevent gun deaths, providing a cooling off period for people trying to cause harm. Gun store owners say this could negatively impact tourism because Maine is known for its hunting season. From our Western Bureau, the FBI and police in Hawaii investigating reports of explosives found on the island of Maui. You can see one here, they kind of look like small baskets. The FBI says no one's been hurt, but they're asking locals to report anything that they can help find who is responsible. From our Southern Bureau, a driver now arrested on suspicion of DUI after crashing into a school bus full of high school students. Look at the bus here, getting lifted off its side. A local hospital says 15 people were hurt, both adults and kids. They've all been discharged, thankfully. And still ahead, thousands of Americans are right now waiting for heart transplants. The story of one family member saving another. There are more than 100,000 people in the United States waiting for a life-saving organ transplant on any given day. But only about 40,000 transplants take place a year. Even more rare is something called a direct donation, which happens when a donor's family actually chooses the recipient of an organ. In this story we're about to share with you, it's a man saving another family member. Here's Kate Snow.
On a summer morning last July, 46-year-old TJ Dick told his daughter he needed to go to the ER. Then he collapsed. Aiden started CPR.
I just knew that was what I was supposed to do.
At Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, doctors found blood clots throughout TJ's chest. TJ was known for his toughness. At first, the family was hopeful he would recover. But then a doctor showed his wife Leah and their 3 kids his brain scans.
And what were they saying? It was a complete global loss of his brain.
Leah actually works at Nebraska Medicine on a team that facilitates organ donation. TJ had always been a registered donor.
We were all standing around the bed, just me and the kids. And Aiden said, "Mom, could Uncle Packy get his heart?"
Packy is married to Leah's sister. He's TJ's brother-in-law.
You guys were really close. Yeah. Was he kind of like a brother to you?
Yeah. He was a brother.
The 2 families would go boating and camping together. Packy's heart had been failing for years, but he was still working every day, pouring concrete, kept alive by a pump he wore around his neck. Packy was already waiting for a transplant. But when Leah and her kids told Packy they wanted him to take TJ's heart, Packy refused.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Not.
Packy's family begged him to reconsider.
In the end, what made you say yes?
My kids. They love me. I understand. Because if it would have been me against TJ, I would have done the same thing.
If it had been the reverse, you would have done the same thing.
Yep.
There were still hurdles. Direct donations are very rare. Doctors weren't sure Packy and TJ would be a match. And then another twist. The next day, Packy was in a horrible car accident.
You broke your back?
In 3 spots, yeah.
Multiple tragedies happened. I think it's, in my mind, more of salvaging, trying to get some hope out of a really tragic set of circumstances.
Packy made it through back surgery, and doctors determined he and TJ were a match. The donation could happen. They wheeled Packy's bed next to TJ's so Packy could say goodbye.
At least gave me a chance to see him. Give him a goodbye. You know, he was still young, you know.
Hundreds of people lined the halls for the emotional hero walk to honor TJ. TJ's heart was implanted in Packy. Packy suffered a small stroke that impairs his speech, but now he has a healthy heart. Packy says he thinks about TJ all the time.
I talk to TJ almost every day. I do.
You talk out loud?
Yeah. No, I'm in the truck by myself, so it doesn't really matter.
And do you tell him what's going on?
He can see. He can see me.
TJ's kids, Aiden and Atticus, are proud of their dad.
He did everything big, like big personality, big heart, big everything, so I'm not surprised that he went out big.
God works in ways that we just really don't understand, and like all these things, they lined up perfectly.
That's
Right.
TJ.
Mm-hmm. And Packy.
That's Packy.
Miracles happen. I've seen things in the last year that by no means could be an accident. It's amazing. Prayers work. And organ donation is amazing. I can't imagine if we didn't have that, what it would have been like to lose him without something good coming of it.
Kate Snow, NBC News.
And our thanks to Kate for that moving report. And now more breaking news as we've been on the air. We're learning just in the last few minutes that the FDA is rejecting MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD. That's according to the drug maker Lykos Therapeutics. That decision comes after the agency's advisory committee said in June that there wasn't enough evidence that this type of therapy was safe or effective. Experts and advocates say the decision is a small setback in this growing movement that we've seen using psychedelics to treat certain mental health conditions. Still to come, our Keir Simmons takes us south of Paris to another Olympic city that actually has Greek ties. That's super French story next. The eyes of the world have been locked on Paris these last 2 weeks, watching in awe, but sometimes also, of course, inspiring performances, also heartbreaking performances from the best athletes in the world. Our Keir Simmons has been there night after night, and after all that hard work, Keir needed a little bit of a break, so he headed south and sends us this report from Marseille.
Everybody loves Paris. Emily moved here from America.
I am très excitée to be here.
Snoop Dogg may never leave. But if you're Parisian, it's well past time to take a holiday. And nobody holidays like the French. South is where you likely go, and being French, food is your North Star. So for a taste of authentic France, we are in Marseille. It's also an Olympic city, but they got to host the sailing, so you might have missed it. What they do care about, deeply, passionately, is this.
This is the first course. So this is the soupe de poisson. So basically this is made with all of the fish that we'll then be eating later.
This is bouillabaisse, or fish soup. Actually, done properly, it's two soups, and it's a Marseille speciality.
You're gonna take a piece of garlic, because pretty much everything in Marseille has to have garlic in it.
Okay.
And you're gonna like rub it against the bread.
Keep doing this.
Keep doing it, get it really garlicky.
Add a sauce called riz, which also contains garlic. This may not be a good choice for a date night. And cheese.
We're in France after all, and
Right,
so
so
like,
you have to eat
this
cheese.
is Swiss cheese, exactly.
C'est magnifique. And that's the first course.
It's very traditional for bouillabaisse. It has to come in two parts.
It has to come in two
Has
parts.
to come in two
If it's
parts.
not in two parts, it's not bouillabaisse.
It's not bouillabaisse,
Okay,
exactly.
right. Well,
Yeah.
now you know.
This is like the appetizer.
Alexis Steinman is a travel writer from New York via Seattle who lives here in France's second largest city.
Marseille is the oldest city in France. We're over 2,600 years old, and we were actually founded by the ancient Greeks.
So there's your Olympic connection. In case you were thinking this was just an excuse for me to eat and drink great food and wine, it is that, obviously, but also after this glorious Olympics, a chance to point out that France is not just Paris. It is, in truth, a country of many faces.
So many people come from elsewhere. That is Marseille's history. So we've been the city of immigrants for 2,600 years. And so often people who, for instance, were born in Algeria and then they came here and had kids, the kids will often say, I'm Marseille first and then I'm Algerian.
Right.
So
but not French.
But not French. No, you're always Marseille first and then you're French.
After lunch, a walk.
So you can see this little cove. This is actually what we ate the bouillabaisse. Fishermen are coming into this port.
So the food we ate came from this
This is sea to table.
To that restaurant, we ate it.
Sea to table.
That is how you eat well. And at the end of a walk, of course, a bar and another drink. Bouillabaisse is very Marseille.
Yes.
This is even more Marseille.
This is even more Marseille. So this is pastis. This was made in Marseille in 1923, but this is what we drink.
Oh, we know when it was invented?
Oh, yeah, it was invented in Marseille, and so we're very proud of it.
Pride. Now, that is a quintessentially French characteristic wherever you go. And frankly, it's justified.
So we'll say santé.
Santé. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Marseille.
Our thanks to Keir Simmons for that report. You could almost taste the garlic and cheese there. And of course, that's a wrap for this hour. Hallie Jackson will be right back here on Monday. You can catch her hosting NBC News Nightly News this Sunday. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. More coverage picks up right at now here on NBC News Now. We come on the air with breaking news about a tragic plane crash in Brazil. We have dramatic video showing the plane spiraling out of the sky. Everyone on board feared dead. The latest information is coming into us literally minute by minute about what happened. Plus, a tale of two campaigns coming into focus tonight. Former President Donald Trump's wild story claiming he almost died during a helicopter ride is being debunked. Meanwhile, we also expect to see Vice President Harris speak any minute now in a critical swing state. And we're just getting new video of the ex-deputy charged with Sonia Massie's murder, why he thinks he'll get out of jail soon. Then, a new solution for potentially deadly allergic reactions. What you need to know about a groundbreaking new treatment that the FDA just approved. Plus, the story of a Nebraska family going through tragedy after tragedy until a, quote, direct donation saved one of their lives. That's later in the show. Good evening, I'm Yamiche Alcindor in for Hallie tonight. And right now we're following breaking news out of Brazil, where a plane seemingly spiraled out of the sky, crashing into the ground. The airline just minutes ago confirming everyone on board, more than 60 passengers, are dead. We're about to show you the video, but we warn you, it's graphic. Here you can see the plane spiraling in the air, seemingly falling hundreds of feet every second, just spiraling out of control towards the ground. And the story is still developing, new information coming in by the second. But here's what we know right now. The plane was heading to Vindaloo in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Today, in an event, Brazil's president asked the crowd to stand for a moment of silence. You're looking at the flight path here. You can see the moment where the plane crashed and disappeared on radar. This is an up-close view of the crash site here. You're looking at all the smoke and rubble that rescuers are going to have to dig through. There are still way more questions than answers at this moment. I want to give you right to Dana's girlfriend right now at NBC News. So, Dana, what more do we know about the crash?
Yamiche, so according to flight data, this flight descended some 14,000 feet within the last 2 minutes of that flight. And it's heartbreaking to see some of the images. Some of the images we're still trying to confirm here at NBC News, but it appears to show that plane somewhat stall midair and it starts to spiral. And former NTSB investigator Jeff Gazzetti actually said that this airplane aerodynamically stalled, which means there was not enough airflow over the wings to generate lift. And when that happens, these planes stop. You can see it. It looks pretty flat and then starts to spin as it barrels to the ground. You see video there several people in this neighborhood where this plane went down next to homes. There's actually a pool not far from where this happened. They rushed out of their homes, and listen to what one of the witnesses had to say.
When I heard the sound of the plane falling, I looked out my window at home and saw the moment it crashed. The way it fell, I ran out of the house and went to see where it had fallen, and saw it had fallen into the house of a couple of elderly people. We also knew them from church, and so, terrified and not knowing what to do, I jumped over the wall.
Absolutely terrifying for a lot of people there. I want to show you the map just showing where this flight path showing you the flight path. So this flight took off from Cascavel in the state of Parana, southwest of Sao Paulo. It was supposed to land near the airport, wasn't too far away, and then that's when this happened. And when we think about what caused this crash, still no word yet, but experts say that this could be pilot error, mechanical error, also possibly weather-related. Yamish?
I know you talked and saw that man talking about what he witnessed, but what more do we know about the reaction of the people on the ground?
Yeah, it's terrifying because we've heard from the president of Brazil who spoke at an event asking for a moment of silence that it's believed that all 62 people on that plane have died. There was actually one man who arrived to the airport late, and one of the airline workers said he could not get on that flight. And he argued with that person at first, but now he has changed his tone. Listen to the emotional interview he gave today.
I even argued with him, and he ended up saving my life. I saw that you hugged him. I hugged him because he did his job. If he had not done his job, maybe I would not be here giving this interview.
And obviously, several families are still waiting word on what is the status of their loved ones. We've heard from the airline Vopas. They say that they are working to try to get to the bottom of this. Also, the manufacturer of that plane, ATR, they put out a statement saying that their thoughts are with the individuals affected by this event and that their specialists are fully engaged to support both the investigation and the customer. Yamish?
Just heartbreaking to think of all those families that are waiting for answers. I know you're going to stay on top of it, so thank you so much, Dana.
Yes, thank you.
The governor of New York just declared a state of emergency for the whole state as nearly the entire eastern seaboard is under flood watch, affecting more than 30 million people. It's all because of tropical depression Debbie. 8 people are dead and millions already in its path grappling with the fallout from devastating flooding and tornadoes. Take a look at this. In Pennsylvania, the back of a building blown clean off. Huge trees ripped from the ground. We're told helicopters are rescuing folks trapped on the roofs of their homes in the middle of catastrophic flooding. Houses are even getting washed downstream. Northern Virginia even seeing a tornado touchdown right near the FBI's Quantico campus. NBC's George Solis is on the ground in Pennsylvania. So, George, thank you for being there. Hopefully you're staying safe. We've been talking about Debbie, of course, all week, and it's still bringing devastating effects to places like all the places that we've just talked about and, of course, where you are. So did people there expect this to be this bad?
Hey, Amish, it's slow, powerful, and relentless. The best way to describe Debbie. Here in Harrisburg, an apparent tornado apparently touching down. And you mentioned in the intro there the video of that business, this elevator company, whose backside was completely just blown out by this fierce winds here. It's just really incredible to look at. Right here in front of me, there's actually a picnic table. It's solid concrete, weighs about 500 pounds. It was just flipped over and tossed around like a toy. There's a little trailer here that was also flipped around a number of times, according to the owners here. And this is just one of 2 buildings that we saw some apparent tornado damage. There was a church about 2 miles from here whose roof was completely just ripped right off, and that roof landing somewhere on the street. Luckily, no one has been hurt. These apparent tornadoes striking overnight. What we saw earlier this morning was a lot of what the South region saw, which was just a lot of wind and a lot of rain. And we know a lot of those rains have the capacity to overwhelm a lot of those drainage systems in cities. Not the case here. The Susquehanna River not in any danger of flooding. We did see some intermittent rain. You can see that it's a little bit sunnier out right now. We have seen some showers here that are intermittent as this storm moves up into the northeast and to northern New England. But again, back to the church. Again, one of the craziest things I've seen so far in terms of the storm damage. Again, that roof ripped clean right off. We spoke with the pastor. Here's what he told me.
We haven't gotten official word. Our belief is that sometime between 4 and 5 a.m., there's a tornado that touched down, and it seems to be that it landed on the church and kind of ripped the roof in half and kind of sent damage across the street even.
Yeah, Yamiche, and unfortunately, Debbie has been deadly, responsible for at least 8 lives. But again, here in this region, no injuries to report.
Yeah, I mean, you see that water moving so fast and you realize that things can shift so quickly. So while people are trying to sort of still wrap their head around what happened, what do cleanup efforts even look like?
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's just starting right now. They're starting to assess some of the damage right down in the south where the waters are slowly starting to recede. There's tornado damage there. A lot of people just getting their ducks in a row. Just 3 hours from here, upstate New York, looking at some significant flooding, which is why a state of emergency has been declared. So a lot of people still waiting to see what the worst of this storm does, but a lot of people overall just ready to put this one in the rearview mirror. Yamiche?
Yeah, people definitely wanting to move past this, but also having a lot of work to do. So thank you so much, George, for all that reporting. And now to politics out west. We're expecting to hear from Vice President Harris tonight at a campaign event outside of Phoenix. It's part of her whirlwind tour this week of several battleground states alongside her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Tomorrow they'll be in Vegas. Still, some big questions hang over the campaign, like will the vice president commit to all 3 debates former President Donald Trump has challenged her to? This all happens ahead of what will be a big moment next week. President Biden is expected to hit the trail with Vice President Harris for the first time since he stepped aside, dropped out, of course, from the Democratic ticket a few weeks ago. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist is on the campaign trail in Glendale, Arizona. So, Aaron, I know that it's a lot of people there. So the Harris campaign is out with a new ad, and it's focused on her border security work in a state like Arizona, where we know it's going to be an important issue, immigration. Talk to us about her messaging tonight in that state.
Yeah, it's interesting, Yamiche, that we have this trip to the Southwest, and immediately the campaign seems to be diving into this issue of border security and immigration, which is not something that really Democrats have been able to campaign on and win on, outside of saying that former President Trump tanked that bipartisan border security bill earlier this year. But in this ad that you referenced, we do hear the vice president talk about her record as a prosecutor, talking about going after the drug cartels and getting gang members put behind bars while she was a prosecutor, and then going so far as to lay out what she would like to do as president, that she would crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking, and that she would put more border agents on the border. This is a topic that will resonate here in the Southwest, but also it's important to note that there are people here, like everywhere else in the country, who have said that their #1 issue really is the economy. At the same time, the campaign says they're seeing some energy for this new ticket, the Harris-Walz ticket. There's some polling out recently that looked at this change in the race, comparing Vice President Harris to former President Trump in this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll. And you see that it's showing her with a 49% to 47% edge here. It's within the margin of error, but indicates that there is some hope in the way that the polls have been changing here in Arizona. Again, still, the economy is the #1 issue. And we've talked to independent voters who will be key in this state to winning, whoever wins. We've talked to some of them who said that they want to hear what's going to be done to keep money in their pockets, to put more money in their pockets and make life a little easier for them. I want you to hear from some of these independent voters.
I want to be able to afford a living, simple things, food, water, you know, a stable housing, things of that sort.
For me, like I said, who's going to put money back into my pocket as far as to make it more affordable? Not necessarily lowering me prices, but maybe wages be, higher.
And so, Yamiche, this is something we've heard the ticket talk about, trying to figure out how to lower costs for average American working class families. It's something I expect we will hear tonight with the crowd here, but we'll be looking to see if there's more detail about what a President Harris would do. Yamiche?
Yeah, and money in my pocket is really, I think, summing up what a lot of voters are thinking about this election cycle. But I want to ask you also, Vice President Harris is making a campaign stop in the state where she passed over prominent Arizona Democrat Senator Mark Kelly. A lot of people at the beginning of this were really looking at him thinking he's from a border state, he's an astronaut, he's a gun rights advocate. Of course, she passed him over in favor of Tim Walz, her new running mate. So could that make a big difference here?
Well, you know, that has yet to be seen, right? We know that Senator Mark Kelly will be here tonight. We expect to hear from him on the stage behind me, and we expect to hear him articulate his full-throated support for the Harris-Walz ticket. We know that Governor Walz has campaigned in this state as well, outside of or independent of Vice President Harris. And so I think you're going to see really an effort to show unity among all the Democrats here, the same way we saw in Philadelphia with Governor Shapiro speaking at length there and really showing support for this new ticket and for what they want to get done. I think you'll likely hear that tonight. And we also know that there will be Republican office holders in this state on the stage as well, showing their support for the Harris-Walz ticket in November. Yamiche?
Well, Aaron, you wrote the segue to the Republicans, so thanks so much for all that reporting. And of course, on Republicans, former President Trump is also out west. He's expected to hold a rally a little later tonight in Montana. Republicans there are trying to win a Senate seat currently held by incumbent Senator Jon Tester. In his news conference yesterday, former President Donald Trump said he was going to Montana to help a Republican candidate and get that seat. It's Tim Sheehy. And while that's supposed to be tonight's focus, something else is getting a lot of attention. It's when former President Donald Trump seemed to mix up former California Governor Jerry Brown with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. It happened during yesterday's press briefing at Mar-a-Lago. The former president said he was in a helicopter with Willie Brown that nearly crashed, but both men say that just never happened. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard is joining me now from Bozeman, Montana, where the former president will be tonight. So, Vaughn, what's the Trump team saying about this mix-up?
They're not doubling down, per se. I want to let you look, though, from the campaign press secretary, a statement in which they write in part, quote, "I would just refer you to President Trump's statement and what he said yesterday. The president has a lot of amazing stories from his life. As we all know, he was a businessman and a celebrity for decades prior to entering politics." Of course, this is part of the criticism that those who are opposed to Donald Trump have given about him, is that he is older, and there are moments here in which he is... Apologies, we're getting hit by umbrellas here on live TV, Yamiche. This is a moment here where we're 85 days out, Yamiche, and there's a lot that's coming our way, it seems like, at every moment, including the name Willie Brown. The reason why Willie Brown matters is pertinent to this conversation, if I may, Yamiche, is because about 3 decades ago, he briefly dated Kamala Harris when she was living in San Francisco, and he was the mayor of San Francisco. And there are some on the right who have tried to create this as an issue for Kamala Harris. But as we have now clearly, from our own team's reporting, I know Gabe Gutierrez, our colleague, had his own conversation with Willie Brown, who said that he's never flown on a helicopter with Donald Trump, and he never had a conversation with him about Kamala Harris. Yamiche?
Well, first of all, thanks for braving the umbrellas for us, because we got to weather at the beginning of this, and here you are doing the thing here. But I want to ask you about the Senate seat there, of course. This is not seen really as a competitive seat, except for when it comes to maybe the Senate seat. That being said, what does Donald Trump really get from being in Montana apart from that Senate seat?
That Senate seat could be huge, Yamiche, and right for Washington, if you are in control of the White House, it becomes very apparent very quickly that having majorities in the House and Senate are key to pushing through your agenda. And for Donald Trump, he is cognizant of that. And right now, Democrats have the control in the U.S. Senate. Now, they only need to flip 1 or 2 Senate seats. If they do, in fact, win the White House, J.D. Vance would be the president of the Senate. And in those moments where it is a 50-50 split, Democrats or Republicans, he could be the tie-breaking vote. So they really would need just one pickup. And it's likely that in West Virginia they'll do that, where Joe Manchin's retiring. They think the Republican current governor who's running for the seat will pick that up. So in the scenario that they would need a second seat, Montana could be that place, because, of course, Donald Trump expects to win handily here himself. But just 4 years ago, in another Senate race, the Republican beat the Democrat here by 10 percentage points. So they hope to pick off and beat the Democratic incumbent Senator Jon Tester here, with Republican Tim Sheehy running this go around, Yamiche.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Vaughn, and stay safe and stay away from those umbrellas.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it.
And we have breaking news out of Illinois right now. We've just learned that the deputy, the sheriff deputy, has resigned. This comes as we're taking our first look at newly released video from inside the jail where the deputy he hired, Sean Grayson, was booked on murder charges for killing Sonia Massie. So again, breaking news that the sheriff there has resigned. But remember, Grayson was fired and charged with murder after he shot and killed Massie while responding to her 911 call in July, seen here in police body cam footage. The newly released video shows Grayson interacting with Menard County deputies, being escorted into a holding cell, then later posing for his booking photos. Grayson can also be heard discussing the charges against him and saying he thinks he'll get out soon. Take a listen.
I can't imagine that they're not going to release me. They're saying my charges are first-degree murder, aggravated with a weapon, and official misconduct. That's what the state's attorney made the charges. So they said this is for my own safety. Hopefully I'll be out tomorrow.
Grayson has pleaded not guilty to the charges. It comes as he is set to appear virtually for a court appearance about right now. So NBC's Maura Barrett is outside the courthouse in Springfield. So Maura, I want to talk about this video, but first let's talk about the sheriff now announcing that he's resigning. Of course, this is someone, again, who hired this officer who killed Sonia Massie.
Yeah, Yamiche, I was actually in the courtroom as the hearing just wrapped when we got the letter from the sheriff. The sheriff is the person who hired Deputy Sean Grayson and has admitted that there were flaws in his hiring process, but until now had resisted calls to resign. He just posted a letter saying that he is retiring at the end of the month, and he is even somewhat resistant in the letter that he wrote and he posted. I want to read some of it. He said, despite the efforts that he was working on in the community, some want me to pay the price for the person's actions, referring to Deputy Sean Grayson, threatening that I pay the price with my life, my family's lives, or the lives of my deputies. He had previously said that the calls for him to resign were a political play, and so the fact that he's choosing to retire now and is saying as much in his statement is really telling. But as for that video that was obtained from the jail, that's the night that Grayson was booked, and it's really telling and kind of matches up with the personnel records that we've been digging into over the last couple of weeks as I've been following this story. He had been accused of misconduct in the past, and you kind of see him try to play into that with the deputy saying, hey, we'll take care of you while you're here. He talks about getting out the next day, and so it really kind of speaks to his overall demeanor about the severity of the situation, Yamiche.
Yeah, and that's big news that sheriff is resigning, because I know I talked to Sonia Massie's father just last week, and he was really distraught at the idea that this was an officer who had moved, who had had a lot of complaints. So big news there. But I also want to ask you about the details of this booking video. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, so this again is something that that came out from a FOIA request, and Grayson is talking about how he was going to be released the following day. That in fact did not happen. He was hopeful that this new law in Illinois that eliminates cash bail and allows for pretrial release was going to play into his favor. He in fact has been held since mid-July. We actually just got out of a hearing where his lawyers were arguing he should get that pretrial release. They were trying for it again, and the judge just denied that. So Grayson will remain held, and his lawyers have the opportunity to appeal that decision, but that'll come in the next couple of weeks. His next hearing isn't until the end of August, and so as we understand it, Grayson will remain in custody at least until then, Yamiche.
Yeah, well, definitely a story we will keep on following very closely. Thank you so much, Maura Barrett. And now abroad, today, Israel's military launched another offensive in southern Gaza with an attack involving ground troops, fighter jets, helicopter gunships, and paratroopers. That came after Israel ordered thousands of Palestinians to evacuate the southern city. Take a listen.
The IDF informed us we had an hour or two to leave the entire zone. They didn't even give us a chance to carry our clothes or belongings. We just carried some small stuff and left the rest.
This all comes as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will send negotiators to what President Biden and leaders of Qatar and Egypt say will be the presentation of a final ceasefire proposal next week. The three leaders saying in a statement, quote, there is no further time to waste nor excuses from any party for further delay. Allison Barber is now joining us from Tel Aviv. So, Allison, for months, these three countries, including the U.S., have been trying their best to mediate a deal to end the fighting and bring the hostages home, and to, of course, also end the civilian casualties in Gaza. So what's different this time, and what more do we know about this meeting?
You know, Yamiche, the truth is we're not entirely sure what is different other than you have the three key mediators putting out this joint statement together, essentially saying, hey, guys, we had an agreement, a key framework. President Biden outlined it in a speech on May 31st at the White House. It's something that had been signed off by the UN Security Council. And they're basically saying, let's get this done. Come back. Let's meet. There's some final implementation things we feel like need to be sorted out. But let's do this and do this now. And then they go on to say, as mediators, if necessary, we're prepared to present a final bridging proposal that resolves the remaining issues in a manner that meets the expectations of all parties, which to experts that we've spoken to, they basically say that sounds like they're saying, hey, if you don't reach agreement, we're going to put something on the table and basically tell you take it or leave it. But exactly what would happen if they said, OK, we're going to leave it, is not entirely clear. There's sort of a mixed reaction that we've been getting when we talk to both Israeli officials and experts who have experience negotiating with Hamas in the past, and also Palestinian analysts who have expertise in this area. So I want to tell you, Yamiche, one thing that a Palestinian analyst at Al-Shabaka, which is a think tank in the West Bank, told me when I asked him if this feels different and if ceasefire talks could maybe continue under Yahya Sinwar. He had said in part, we have been hearing similar things since basically all of this began back in October. And he said there is, quote, no real evidence the United States is terribly serious about ceasefire talks beyond statements. An Israeli former negotiator we spoke to, he was optimistic about this, saying that from his perspective, he felt like this was the only way to tell Netanyahu and also Hamas, we've got to move forward on this and kind of force their hand. But going back to what that analyst from Al-Shabaka told me, his name is Fatih Nimer, he made this point that if the United States, in his view, was serious about trying to get Israel in particular to agree to a ceasefire, that they would use more of their leverage when it comes to military assistance here. That framework, May 31st, one of the things in it said that there would be a full and complete ceasefire. But after that agreement, in the months after, and not that long ago, Netanyahu and his office released 4 non-negotiable points for ceasefire talks, and one of them was that they would be allowed to continue fighting and work towards their war aims after a hostage prisoner swap was achieved when they wanted to come back to it. So basically, like he was saying, temporary truce, that's what I'll agree to. And Hamas and the United States and the UN Security Council's framework that they all agreed to in May is saying it has to be a permanent ceasefire. So whether or not that's been resolved is unclear. Netanyahu says he will send negotiators to this meeting on August 15th. So far, Yamiche, we have not heard from Hamas.
Well, so many moving parts and so many starts and stops. So, Allison Barber, thank you so much for staying on top of all of that for us. And breaking news, markets tonight. First, it was down, then it was up. Now it looks like Wall Street has made almost a full comeback from where things were earlier this week. Here's how the markets closed tonight. Everything's in the green. The S&P 500 was close to reversing its weekly fall. We've been following this roller coaster ride from the beginning last week. The July jobs report showed significantly slower hiring rate than expected. Then Monday, there was a global market sell-off, with the Dow and S&P 500 having their worst day since 2022. And yesterday, the S&P had its best day since that year. Caleb Silver is the editor-in-chief of Investopedia. He's now joining me. So, Caleb, this market is essentially backtracking and saying, oops, maybe we have overreacted. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, so much noise this week, and here we are basically where we started, and we thought it was going to be a lot worse. You mentioned all the things that precipitated this, a softer than expected jobs report, the drumbeat growing around a potential recession, but don't forget also the Bank of Japan did raise interest rates, which affected those investors that were borrowing yen and buying stocks. So plenty of reasons for the sell-off and a lot of volatility, but it's a good lesson for long-term investors that you don't sell out at the first sign of everything going into the red. So I think that investors have come back a little bit, trying to get some sense of what the rest of the year looks like in terms of interest rates. We have a big inflation report next week, a big data point for the Fed to look at before it meets in September.
Yeah. A lot of questions there, but everyone has been talking about a recession in these past few days. Voters, analysts, of course, Wall Street bankers, but also it's something that economists have been bringing up for years. And here we are, nothing. What's the deal?
Yeah, well, we're going to get a recession at some point because it happens every few years or so. It's been a while, obviously, since the beginning of the pandemic, but we should expect that. The economy is going to slow. We've seen unemployment rising a little bit, but the overall headline numbers look pretty good. There may be rolling recessions in different parts of the economy. Certainly lower-income people have felt the sting of inflation. They feel like they've been in a recession the whole time. But a classic recession doesn't look that likely, although you're going to hear a lot more noise about it as we get closer to the election and through the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, we'll keep watching and see what happens. Thank you so much, Caleb. And coming up, Ukraine turns the table on Russia, sending 1,000 soldiers across the border. And civilians in Gaza under the constant threat of danger. We take you inside one family's daily struggle to survive. Rapper Travis Scott in legal hot water again, but first, today, some major medical news. The FDA just approved a nasal spray as the first needle-free emergency treatment against life-threatening allergic reactions. The spray will be sold under the brand name Neffy. It's an alternative to the EpiPen and injections that are used to save people from extreme allergic reactions. Dr. Vin Gupta joins me now with more on this. Now, I should tell you, I am allergic to peanuts, so I am super into this news. So how can one safely use this drug, and in what scenarios could this really be possibly a lifesaver?
Well, Yamiche, good evening. It's exactly what you just mentioned. 33 million adult Americans have a food allergy like yourself, and about 5% of all adult Americans are prone to severe anaphylaxis, severe allergies, where historically you would need an injection for epinephrine and inject it into your thigh. It's basically a life-saving intervention. Here, to your question, now we have an inhaled nasal spray that gives epinephrine through the nose, not through an injection. It's a big deal. And so it's meant for adults and children that are at least 66 pounds or older and with a history of anaphylaxis. It's via prescription from your physician, but this is a big deal. Single administration through one single nostril. So no longer, especially those who have needle phobias, do they have to worry about needles.
And as you talk about sort of not having to worry about needles, I wonder about cost. Do we have any idea? Because we know there was that EpiPen sort of controversy where a lot of people said, well, I can't afford this. What do we think? How accessible do we think this is going to be to the average person?
You know, luckily, this is going to be something that's going to be insurance covered, just given the severity of illness that it's going to protect against. So this will be insurance covered, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time, to your point, Yamiche. But certainly for those that meet the indication, will be insurance covered.
Yeah, well, definitely big news. I'm going to watch out to see when it hits the stores. So thank you so much, Dr. Vin Gupta.
Thank you.
Now tonight, let's get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know. Number 1, Ukraine's surprise attack on Russia now in its 4th day, and its excursion leaving behind a convoy of burnt-out Russian tanks. The Kremlin even had to bomb its own territory to try to put out Ukraine's advance. Number 2, Austria's interior minister telling reporters today that a 3rd person was arrested overnight in relation to the planned attack on Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna. He's an 18-year-old Iraqi citizen who was apparently in contact with the main suspect in this case. He was not directly linked to the plot. Number 3, today a man prosecutors call one of the most violent January 6 rioters was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. David Dempsey assaulted officers and stood in front of a gallows. He also called for politicians to be hanged. It's one of the longest sentences handed out in the January 6 attacks. Number 4, NASA's Inspector General giving a damning assessment of Boeing's quality control in a new report. Boeing is building part of NASA's next generation mega rocket. It's part of a push to go back to the moon. According to this report, Boeing's quality control systems do not meet NASA's requirements. This is one of many ongoing issues for Boeing. Remember, its first crewed Starliner mission is still waiting to come back from space. Number 5, French authorities say rapper Travis Scott's been arrested in Paris. He allegedly got into a fight involving a security guard and his own bodyguard. A representative for Scott says the rapper had been chased and harassed by paparazzi for days without support. The representative also said Scott was arrested for fighting his own security personnel, and they're working with French police to resolve this issue. Now to tonight's original. It's our story on in-depth reporting on a topic that we've been watching. As we reported earlier in the show, the Israeli military ordered thousands of Palestinians to leave a southern Gaza city in advance of a military attack. People carried bedding and bags and walked through piles and piles of rubble. These evacuations are just another displacement that have become part of the life for hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza, contributing to the broader humanitarian crisis. We spoke to one family about their daily struggle to survive. Josh Letterman has the story.
Daybreak in Gaza, the Deeb family getting ready for another day, unsure whether they'll survive it. Displaced 5 times since the war started, home is now a dirty alcove underneath a stairwell in an abandoned UN school. Mom, dad, and 6 kids all crammed into a space less than 13 by 7 feet. No running water, but they make do. Hiba is 36, the matriarch. She says her husband Raed was shot by Israeli troops back in 2012. But life, she says, was good before war broke out on October 7th, the day Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people. Yes, they relied on a food kitchen for basic needs, a can of beans or bread with salt. But she says there was calm, stability, a safe roof over their heads.
فرقت حياتنا من قبل عن الحين 180 درجة. احنا بنقول لو يرموا علينا نوم ونموتونا وريحونا.
3 days earlier, an Israeli strike hit the school the Deebs call home. Hiba didn't know if her kids survived. She was out selling bread she cooks in this portable oven to sell to anyone who still has money to buy it. It's the only way she can support her family now. This is life in Gaza after nearly 10 months of war and a humanitarian crisis spinning out of control. 9 out of 10 Gazans have been displaced, 500,000 facing catastrophic food insecurity, the UN says. The basics most take for granted, electricity, clean water, soap, all but gone in Gaza. And now, horrific sanitation fueling a polio outbreak, Gazan authorities say, just one of many infectious diseases spreading uncontrolled. And no way out. The Deeb family is holed up at Khan Yunis, the epicenter of Israel's latest assault on Gaza, where the IDF says they killed the mastermind behind October 7th. With his father paralyzed from the pelvis down, 14-year-old Hallie forced to step up as man of the house. Before the war, Khalil's job was to wake up his siblings for school. He dreamed of becoming a merchant like his uncle. There is no school now. Khalil spends his days searching for food for his family, collecting water if he can. Often it's dirty and salty. His brothers and sisters have dreams too. 6-year-old Ahmed hopes to become a police officer. 3-year-old Saeed, a doctor. Dreams now deferred, and their survival uncertain.
Josh Letterman is joining us now. And Josh, I mean, that was such powerful storytelling. I mean, the images of the babies, the polio outbreak, that teenager Hallie stepping up to take care of his family. I mean, we now have what's being called this final ceasefire negotiation, but between all of the trauma that you just documented so wellly and so intimately, I wonder sort of what do you think about the long-term effects here?
Well, yeah, even if the war were to end tomorrow, Yamiche, and the border crossings were to swing open like floodgates, which seems highly unlikely, it could take up to 80 years to rebuild Gaza just to the impoverished place that it was right before the war. That is according to a UN report that found that it will be the biggest reconstruction effort since 1945, since the end of World War II, because not only are some 70% of the houses destroyed, but they have lost a year of school for kids. People have lost a year of ability to have medical care. And so all told, the UN says this has set back human development in Gaza by 4 decades, Yamiche.
80 years. I mean, that you think about those babies, they might be senior citizens before things are rebuilt. That's just so hard to think about. But thank you so much, Josh, for that reporting. And later in the show, danger in paradise. The explosive device is found on the island of Maui. That's the local. And in the Olympics, more stunning finishes and breakdancing's big debut. We're live from Paris. In Paris, the B-girl from Japan taking home the gold medal in breakdancing, a first at the Olympic Games. The American women failed to make the podium with Sunny Choi knocked out in the round-robin stage. But Team USA women did succeed in the 4x100 meter relay. Take a look at this incredible photo of Sha'Carri Richardson stealing a quick glance back at the competition as she clinches gold in the pouring rain. And USA women's basketball also moving on to the finals this weekend after dominating against Australia today, 85-64. They'll play France, just like the men will in their final. NBC's Stephanie Goss now joins me from Paris. So, Stephanie, a little jealous of your excitement, so I'm happy to see that you're here. But tell us about the breakdancing's big Olympic debut. Sad that it's not the USA getting gold, but still, of course, it's cool to see this debut.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And we were out there today and there was a ton of energy, Amish. Lots of people excited to see this new event. You know, the Olympics is so much about tradition and history, but you also have organizers trying to get new fans, trying to engage a younger generation. And that's certainly what having breaking in the Olympics is all about. Some interesting things to note. There's a 9-panel judge. It's a 1v1 situation.
There are more than 100,000 people in the United States waiting for a life-saving organ transplant on any given day. But only about 40,000 transplants take place a year. Even more rare is something called a direct donation, which happens when a donor's family actually chooses the recipient of an organ. In this story we're about to share with you, it's a man saving another family member. Here's Kate Snow.
On a summer morning last July, 46-year-old TJ Dick told his daughter he needed to go to the ER. Then he collapsed. Aiden started CPR.
I just knew that that was what I was supposed to do.
At Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, doctors found blood clots throughout TJ's chest. TJ was known for his toughness. At first, the family was hopeful he would recover. But then a doctor showed his wife Leah and their 3 kids his brain scans.
And what were they seeing? It was a complete global loss of his brain.
Leah actually works at Nebraska Medicine on a team that facilitates organ donation. TJ had always been a registered donor.
We were all standing around the bed, just me and the kids. And Aiden said, "Mom, could Uncle Packy get his heart?"
Packy is married to Leah's sister. He's TJ's brother-in-law.
You guys were really close.
Yeah.
Was he kind of like a brother to you?
Yeah. He was a brother.
The two families would go boating and camping together. Packy's heart had been failing for years, but he was still working every day, pouring concrete, kept alive by a pump he wore around his neck. Packy was already waiting for a transplant. But when Leah and her kids told Packy they wanted him to take TJ's heart, Packy refused.
And I said, "No, I'm not doing it. Not."
Packy's family begged him to reconsider.
In the end, what made you say yes?
My kids. They love me. I understand. Because if it would have been me against TJ, I would have done the same thing.
If it had been the reverse, you would have done the same thing.
No.
There were still hurdles. Direct donations are very rare. Doctors weren't sure Packy and TJ would be a match. And then another twist. The next day, Packy was in a horrible car accident.
You broke your back?
In 3 spots, yeah.
Multiple tragedies happened. I think it's, in my mind, more of salvaging, trying to get some hope out of a really tragic set of circumstances.
Packy made it through back surgery, and doctors determined he and TJ were a match. The donation could happen. They wheeled Packy's bed next to TJ's so Packy could say goodbye.
At least gave me a chance to see him. Give him a kiss goodbye. He was still young,
Hundreds of people lined the halls for the emotional hero walk to honor TJ. TJ's heart was implanted in Packy. Packy suffered a small stroke that impairs his speech, but now he has a healthy heart. Packy says he thinks about TJ all the time.
I talk to TJ almost every day. I do.
You talk out loud?
Yeah. I'm in the truck by myself, so it doesn't really matter.
And do you tell him what's going on?
He can see me.
TJ's kids, Aiden and Atticus, are proud of their dad.
He did everything big, like big personality, big heart, big everything, so I'm not surprised that he went out big.
God works in ways that we just really don't understand, and like all these things, they lined up perfectly.
That's
Right.
TJ.
And Packy.
That's Packy.
Miracles happen. I've seen things in the last year that by no means could be an accident. It's amazing. Prayers work. And organ donation is amazing. I can't imagine if we didn't have that, what it would have been like to lose him without something good coming of it.
Kate Snow, NBC News.
And our thanks to Kate for that moving report. But now more breaking news as we've been on the air. We're learning just in the last few minutes that the FDA is rejecting MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD. That's according to the drug maker Lykos Therapeutics. That decision comes after the agency's advisory committee said in June that there wasn't enough evidence that this type of therapy was safe or effective. Experts and advocates say the decision is a small setback in this growing movement that we've seen using psychedelics to treat certain mental health conditions. Still to come, our Keir Simmons takes us south of Paris to another Olympic city that actually has Greek ties. That's super French story next. The eyes of the world have been locked on Paris these last 2 weeks, watching in awe, but sometimes also, of course, inspiring performances, also heartbreaking performances from the best athletes in the world. Our Keir Simmons has been there night after night, and after all that hard work, Keir needed a little bit of a break, so he headed south and sends us this report from Marseille.
Everybody loves Paris. Emily moved here from America.
I am très excitée to be here.
Snoop Dogg may never leave. But if you're Parisian, it's well past time to take a holiday. And nobody holidays like the French. South is where you likely go, and being French, food is your North Star. So for a taste of authentic France, we are in Marseille. It's also an Olympic city, but they got to host the sailing, so you might have missed it. What they do care about, deeply, passionately, is this.
This is the first course. So this is the soupe de poisson. So basically this is made with all of the fish that we'll then be eating later.
This is bouillabaisse, or fish soup. Actually, done properly, it's two soups, and it's a Marseille speciality.
You're going to take a piece of garlic, because pretty much everything in Marseille has to have garlic in it.
Okay.
And you're going to like rub it against the bread.
Keep doing this.
Keep doing it, get it really garlicky.
Add a sauce called riz, which also contains garlic. This may not be a good choice for a date night. And cheese.
We're in France after all, and
Right,
so
so
like,
you have to eat
this
cheese.
is Swiss cheese, exactly.
C'est magnifique. And that's the first course.
It's very traditional for bouillabaisse. It has to come in two parts.
It has to come in two
Has to come in two
If it's
parts.
not in two parts, it's not bouillabaisse.
It's not bouillabaisse,
Okay,
exactly.
right. Well, now you know.
This is like the appetizer.
Alexis Steinman is a travel writer from New York via Seattle who lives here in France's second largest city.
Marseille is the oldest city in France. We're over 2,600 years old, and we were actually founded by the ancient Greeks.
So there's your Olympic connection. In case you were thinking this was just an excuse for me to eat and drink great food and wine, it is that, obviously, but also after this glorious Olympics, a chance to point out that France is not just Paris. It is, in truth, a country of many faces.
So many people come from elsewhere. That is Marseille's history. So we've been the city of immigrants for 2,600 years. And so often people who, for instance, were born in Algeria and then they came here and had kids, the kids will often say, I'm Marseille first and then I'm Algerian.
Right.
So
But
it's
not
like-
French.
But not French. No, you're always Marseille first and then you're French.
After lunch, a walk.
So you can see this little cove. This is actually what we ate the bouillabaisse. Fishermen are coming into this port.
So the food we ate came from this
This
city,
is sea to
these
table.
boats, to that restaurant. We ate it.
Sea to table.
That
This
is how you eat well. And at the end of a walk, of course, a bar and another drink.
Bouillabaisse is very Marseille.
Yes.
This is even more Marseille.
This is even more Marseille. So this is pastis. This was made in Marseille in 1923, but this is what we drink.
We know when it was invented?
Oh yeah, it was invented in Marseille,
Oh.
and so we're very proud of it.
Pride. Now that is a quintessentially French characteristic wherever you go. And frankly, it's justified.
So we'll say santé.
Santé.
Keir Simmons, NBC News, Marseille.
Our thanks to Keir Simmons for that report. You could almost taste the garlic and cheese there. And of course, that's a wrap for this hour. Hallie Jackson will be right back here on Monday. You can catch her hosting NBC News Nightly News this Sunday. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. More coverage picks up right at now here on NBC News Now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.